Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Local Business Show. Today I have another amazing small business lady to talk to. But before we start the show, I just want to quickly remind you why we do the show, if I can get that to pop up there. So the Local Business Show is about sharing the most amazing local businesses in and around your area. For me, it became very relevant very quickly that there were a number of local businesses in my local area that I was unaware that they actually existed. So I thought to myself, if I don't know that these local businesses are around, then how will you, the general public, know that these services are in your local area? So that was how the Local Business Show was born. And then comes the question, why buy locally? Well, if we support our local community, then that has a very huge knock-on effect. You know, we're helping our local community, we're helping our children, our children's children, and we're helping the economy grow within our own areas. So that's another reason why we need to really know what amazing local businesses are around so that we can support them and support our local economy. So before we jump into the show this morning, again, I would love to acknowledge our corporate sponsors, which are Zeneco Carpet Cleaning Services, Cairns Cheapest Cars, and Savvy Hair and Makeup on Mulgrave Road. So thank you to those three amazing businesses for supporting other local businesses in this area. Today, as I said, I have an amazing guest to introduce you to. She is a creativity coach, which is really, really interesting, and I can't wait to talk to her about it. But Sonja was raised and born in Townsville, so locally just down the road from us here in Cairns. She lived in Townsville, Gold Coast, Melbourne, London, back to Melbourne, Cairns, and in Brisbane before settling on the Gold Coast. Now she is a mum juggling a home business and family life, raising two amazing daughters, Lily Rose and Lulu Sparkle. Gorgeous names. Her two little miracles, one through IVF, and the other through a nice surprise. Her previous career was based around management, coaching and mentoring staff in small teams, big teams, small offices, big corporate multinationals, and across a huge variety of industries over the last 20 years. She's studied art, business management, training and assessing, coaching, website building, copywriting, and editing and writing magazines and newspapers. Included in that is online business success, how to build a soulful business through solopreneurs, events, animation, design, sales, and staff management, communications, and media. So creativity is one thread of consistency and key to her passion as a creative soul mama. So I would like to introduce Sonja to our show this morning, who is going to share with us what actually is a creative soul mama and how we can get in touch with our creativity. So welcome, Sonja, to the show. Hey.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, Sonja. I'm a bit tongue-tied this morning. So I've just shared your amazing career and a little bit about Creative Soul Mamas, but what is a Creative Soul Mama and how did that happen from such a vast experience in the corporate world and the small to medium business sector?
Yes, okay. Well, it was a bit of a journey, so I'll try not to take too long to explain how that all came about. So first of all, a Creative Soul Mama is a woman or a mama bringing their ideas to life or their business to life using their creative and unique talents. So when we talk about a creative soul mama, and it's not always mamas, I mean, women in general can relate to being a mama because we are often, people who care for others. That's just our general nature. So, I use the word mama to really talk about all women in general, but obviously mums relate very well to creative soul mamas. And it's really about how you go about, building a business based around your creative and unique talents. So how that came about, I had a very corporate career for, sort of 20 years or so, as you mentioned in my bio. And when I stopped and had kids, while I had kids, thought that I was always going to return to my corporate career. But it didn't quite work out that way, both for, I guess, reasons in terms of the companies I was returning to, but also because I started to think, am I really wanting to return to this career that I've had? And I started to question that. And then I started to do a bit of personal development, self-discovery, and really sort of looking into what it was that I truly, soulfully wanted to do. I came across a course called Soulpreneurs, and I did that course, and it really helped to uncover what it was that I loved doing. And it certainly wasn't working in a corporate career, flying around the country, doing training. While I loved that at the time, I was in a new position now. Motherhood had changed me, as it often does, and I really wanted to just do something that was soul fulfilling to me, which is the soul part of Creative Soul Mamas. So I really went on that path of discovery. I created a business that I could do from home because I realized one of my values was freedom and independence, and I wanted to be able to work from home. I had young girls and I wanted to be there at home for them. A corporate career really didn't fit into that motherhood life anymore. I certainly couldn't have left my girls at home and gone and travelled and done training and things like I used to. So that was all part of that discovery. And then I realised that creativity was this thread that I'd had, through my whole life, but I had dropped it a little bit through those corporate years. And so I thought, what business can I do from home that lets me use my creativity? I went through lots of iterations, as you do as a small business owner in the beginning, to really get to the point where you feel like you've found what you want to do. And so that's where my virtual creative business started. So that to me seemed very natural. I could work with business owners from around the world. I don't just work with people in Australia anymore because, the online world, you can work with anyone anywhere now. And so I started the virtual creative business. Then I discovered, and I was calling myself a business creativity coach as part of that, because even though my virtual creative service is about building websites, helping with social media and building graphics and things like that for people to use in their business, I realized that a lot of what I was doing was actually coaching businesses to use their creativity more than they were and really bring it into their business. And so I was calling myself a business creativity coach, and then I came across an amazing lady in America called Van Lijumon, and she is running an amazing business that brings creative play into businesses in the corporate world. And she had done a course called K's and Muse Creativity Coaching. And this just opened up a whole new world to me. I didn't even know that you could study creativity coaching. I thought it was just something I miraculously came up with myself. And so I went off and studied K's and Muse Creativity Coaching, and that really has cemented what I now do with my coaching. So my coaching, although it's still business-based, so I still love helping mainly creative women in business now. I've really niched down to that. But I bring the K's and Muse Creativity Coaching in, which is all about small steps. It's about tapping into your creativity and your intuition and really working out how you can bring that into your business, sharing your creative and unique talents in your business. And that's things that you do around education of your clients. It still brings in social media, websites, all of that stuff. But how do you really tap into what's creative and unique about you? And how do you then share that with the world to then grow your business, educate your customers and clients, let them know you, be authentic. So it all sort of brings all of that together. So that's what a creativity coach is. And that links into Creative Soul Mamas, because in that online group that I've created, which came about because I couldn't find any networking groups that were for creative mums in business, and so I just created my own. And it started as meetups on the Gold Coast here, and then I realised that I really wanted it to be an online community open to everyone. And so I created that online, and then it's sort of just grown from there. But within that group, I still, offer coaching and inspiration and motivation within the group to help creative mums in business, whether they work with me, as a coach, whether they use my virtual creative service, if they're wanting to sort of, build up their social media or websites, etc., or whether they're just there for the connection and, with other creative mums building businesses as well. So it all sort of fits together quite nicely, those three elements of my business and the online group. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's just an amazing story, Sonja. I've got to go back, though, and ask you, like, what popped out there for me was, how important is it, do you think, that we know what that passion is? So for me, and I'm speaking from a personal perspective here, is that I've done a lot of work around, what is my passion? Because people say once you tap into that passion and that creativity, the money will come. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I get so caught up in my head not knowing what specifically that is. And I know that you said that you're able to find yours, but what about the women out there that don't know what that is? So the question is, how important is it to know that? Is it important that we do understand what that is, or are we able, through your skills and your courses, just tap into everything and create an amazing business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I am creating some online courses that will help with all of this in the future. So I don't have all of that in place right now. I do that mainly through coaching right now. But the idea of finding your passion and what you really enjoy doing and then turning that into a business is definitely not for everyone. So you still, finding your passion is one thing, but it doesn't have to become a business. So it might become your hobby. It might become something that you do on the side because you need to work, whatever. Everyone has a different situation in life. You might need to stay in whatever job you're doing. And you might have a side project or a side business that helps fuel that passion and keep that soul fulfilled. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and build a business from your passion. What really matters is that you find what works for you. So really, doing some self-development work, and, these are some of the things that I can work with, but doing some self-development work around figuring out what path it is or where you're at right now, what's best for you. So I was in, I guess, the perfect storm of coming out of a corporate career, knowing that I wanted to do something with my passions and create a business from it because I was in a situation where I could do that. But that might not be the situation for everyone. But I think the main thing is that definitely finding what your passion is, what really lights you up, and then deciding what is the best thing for you. Is it quit your job and create a business? Is it do it as a hobby? Is it have a side business while staying in the job that you're doing? Because I could have stayed in my corporate career and perhaps, quit, gone back to part-time, not traveled as much, and I would have been quite happy in that role. So it didn't necessarily mean that I created this business because I hated what I was doing. That wasn't the case at all. But just situation-wise and from a values point of view around freedom and independence, I knew that that's the path that I wanted to take once I'd started doing that self-discovery work and figuring that out. So I think that's the key. And some of the keys, if I can give some tips around finding what you're helping to find what your passion is really one of the first things is really your internal feelings about something. And also it can be triggered by things from childhood. So I know that when I look back through what I was doing in childhood, creativity was my absolute everything. I had to do creativity. I had to do something creative all day, all the time. That's what I was doing. And so I figured out that, I had lost that along the way through my corporate career. And I knew that when I rediscovered that as a mum, that was the key to what I wanted to do. And then I sort of had to figure out, well, what does that mean? How do I create that into a business? All those sort of more technical things about it. But I truly knew in my heart that would be the soul fulfilling thing that I wanted to do as a business. And some of the ways I knew that was that I had missed it, that when I started doing it again, I really had physical reactions to it. So you get the butterflies in your tummy. You might get, a real feeling of elation and satisfaction when you're sitting down and giving yourself that space for me to create, let's say. It could be different for everyone. Well, it is different for everyone. So those real physical reactions are things that you need to, I guess, be aware of and start to really consider when you're starting to figure out what your passions are. So they're just some simple ways to, I guess, start to look out for what you truly love. And also the opposite. If you're doing something, perhaps it's in your own job, if you're doing something, if you're employed by someone, and you have really good reactions like that, or you have bad reactions where you sit down to do something in your job and you get tension in your back, your stomach's all knotted up, your heart's palpitating, perhaps you're getting a headache, then that's a good sign that those are the things you don't enjoy doing. And so those can also be keys and signs to help you narrow down where it is that you want to go with your passions, or what those passions are to start with. Yeah.
That's brilliant. That is really, really good to clarify that, because I think some of us get hooked on, well, I don't know what it is, and yet we're thinking in our head too much and not listening to our heart, to what you really do enjoy doing. So that brings me to the next question, is fast forwarding now that we have a business and we are creative and we've tapped into the right side of the brain. My biggest problem is I have too many ideas. So in order for a business to succeed, we all know that we need to follow through and focus and have consistency, which I believe many of us have, and we do. But what do we do, Sonja, with all those creativity ideas and, the next business opportunity? How does becoming creative, which we are so good at, then enable or disable our current business model?
Yes. For me, and this is not for everyone, but for me, it's all about intuition, and it's all about, again, coming back to self-development and personal development and really working out how you decide what's best for you and your business. We all have that information inside us and the ability to figure those things out for ourselves. We've been in situations subconsciously in the past that will help us make those decisions in the future. But a lot of that for people is blocked and pushed down. And on top of that is society's pressures around, what you should be doing. And then you've got social media on top of that. You've got family, friends, business associates telling you what you should be doing. So all of those things are clouding your own personal intuition. But that's where really self-development and personal development and working on yourself and working out how you can tell personally what's best for you is one of the greatest things you can give yourself as a business owner. It doesn't have to be all woo-woo spiritual, I'm going to figure out how to get into my intuition. It does come back to, a lot of it does come back to those things I talked about before around really feeling what the best way is forward for you. Once you've figured out those types of things, then that next step is you do have to put your business hat on at some point in time. So it's not all just intuition, yep, I feel like this is the right thing to do. You do have to then take that next step and move into your left brain a little bit more, and then figure out what business, from a business point of view, is this the best thing to do? So, that's sitting down and figuring out, it might be, if it's, should I create this new product? It's figuring out, all the costings around it, the hours that you're going to provide. Is it going to benefit your audience? And it can also come back to things like, is this really part of my vision and what I'm trying to create? So if you put in place goals for your business, vision, mission, values, all those sorts of things, we could, go off on a whole other tangent about that. But if you've got those things in place, then that helps you figure out, with all these creative ideas, does that really help me achieve what my end goal is, or what my next goal is, whether it's short or long term? Because if it doesn't, then you can look at it from a logical point of view and say, this is going to cost me a lot of money and time to create. It's not going to keep me on my path. It actually takes me off the path. And so therefore, is it really the best thing for me? Now, sometimes those things that take you off the path actually take you on a new journey that can, open up things that you hadn't even imagined. So, it's a lot more intricate than just getting sort of to left brain. You've still got to have a little bit of that intuition there and work out what's right for you, and don't completely close off once you've got the left brain engaged. But, it's a bit of a balancing act. And I really think, I'm not saying this because I'm a coach, but I really think coaches can help with that, or even just an external person that you trust that can sit down with you and look at some of these things that you're really getting serious about implementing and explain it to them. And if they get it, and if they're like, yeah, that actually really sounds like a good idea, then, that can really help. But coaches for sure, because they're so impartial, you do need someone who's fairly impartial to sort of help you figure those things out. But yeah, I hope that's some tips that might help.
That's brilliant. And I have to agree 100%. Coaches, in my experience, being a coach and also having my own coaches, it's all about having that objective view and not being emotionally involved in the business and helping you on your way. But I have to ask a question, because this was said to me probably about, 12 years ago. I was in Sydney on stage at a workshop, and I believe I had two businesses running at the same time, which were absolutely completely different. One was a life coaching business, and the other one was my social media business. I had both of them running, and I was basically told that there was no physical way that I could run both businesses at the same time. And I still beg to differ that was not the case, because as creative people and mums, we are able to juggle multiple things. So what's your take on that as a coach? I'd love to hear what you think, Sonja.
For a start, my, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up when you said you can't run two things at once. Because as a creative, I don't like to be told what to do for a start. And so that's part of creativity coaching as well, is that this is not about telling you what is best for your business. It's about helping you decide what's best for your business and helping you figure those things out for yourself, because you do have all of the answers inside. So that would be my first thing about that. But no, look, I absolutely believe that if you intuitively and soul-fulfillingly feel that you can run the two things at once, then you can absolutely do that. But there are some practical things that go along with that. So is it viable as a business to run those two things at once? Are you going to be able to bring in some help? If perhaps that's what needs to happen to move it forward. So life coaching, perhaps not so much, unless you have a VA perhaps involved that helps with all the technical bookings and stuff to get things on track. For your social media business, having a VA perhaps that helps, do some of the stuff you don't need to do personally. There are ways that you can do those things yourself and run two businesses at once. But you do have to bring that business element in. So if you're trying to do it all by yourself, then you probably won't sleep. You'll be working 24 hours a day, which is ideal. But there are absolutely ways to do that. And I think, again, it has to come back to you and what you feel is the right thing for you to do. Because I can guarantee you, if you went and Googled life coaches and social media specialists, let's say, you're going to come and find people that are successfully doing these things. So nothing is impossible. But it's got to be right for you, and you've got to have the right situation set up from a logical point of view to allow all of that to happen.
Great advice. And I think that is the key, I think we can do multiple things, like you said, but it's got to come back and be congruent, and it's also got to be profitable. There's no point in having 10 businesses and not any one of them making money. So that's brilliant advice. And I love the fact that you looked at or spoke about, having that plan. We all know how important goal setting is and having a plan for our business. I don't believe it needs to be a 50-page business plan, even though that's effective for bigger businesses. But for us smaller, solo entrepreneurs and small, medium business sector, I think it's just knowing what do I want to achieve this year and breaking that back so that we don't lose focus, yeah?
That's exactly right. And, as creatives in particular, it's very easy to get caught up in wanting to be intuitive and wanting to just really run with how the business wants to unfold. Which to a certain degree, you need to allow that space for your business to do what it wants to do and for you intuitively to figure out what it is to do. But there has to be a business element involved. You have to find that balancing act between both, because you can be a creative in business and not be making any money. And we don't need to be starving artists. We are here in business to make money. That's the whole point of having a business. Whether it's a side business or whether it's your full-time job, that's the whole point of having a business. If you want to just put your work out there as a creative and not make any money, then that's a hobby. And that's fine too, because some people just need to put their art and their creativity out into the world and not have anything come back. And that's absolutely fine, but that's not a business. And so if you're running a business, you do need to have that balance and make sure that you're running it as a business, thinking of it as a business, and planning it as a business to be successful.
Very true. That's awesome advice. Now, Sonja, I'd like to ask you, as a business, with your Creative Soul Mamas business, and also you've got your own group as well, how important did you see creating a group for Creative Soul Mamas, like the community aspect? What was the benefit of that for you and your business?
There's lots of benefits. I mean, it brings everyone together, and the idea of creatives, and particularly creative mums in business, for me, it's often people sitting at home, working from home. It's quite a lonely business when you're just sitting here creating, particularly in the online world. You don't necessarily, get to go out and network and market. I certainly couldn't go to all the networking meetings that are out there. It's just not possible for me, as a mum working from home. And so having an online community of people who are like-minded, who are doing the same things, was really important. So that was that aspect. Also having, it is a group that is part of what I do as a business. And so it's not just there so I can bring people together. It is also there so I can offer the services that I run. And so whether that's creativity coaching or the virtual creative business, which is more do it for you type stuff, then those services are all available to people in the group and outside of the group. But this particular group of people are people that are my audience. They're people running creative businesses and women. So that is my target and who I want to be working with. And so there's both aspects of it. So it was important to me to have that. I could have just had a mailing list. I could have just relied on Facebook and Instagram, and word of mouth and all those sorts of things. But having a group is just that extra, piece of the puzzle. If you like, it's part of a 4 or 5 pronged approach to marketing, if you like. It really does adds value to the people that are in there. They get lots of free advice and things and, information from what I do as a coach and a virtual creative. But if they want to, they can also then access my services from there as well, or also access services from other people in the group. So I think one of the other members in the group, Tammy, reached out to you.
Yes,
around social media. So that's the platform as well. I was thinking about this yesterday. I really love bringing creative women in business together so that we can support each other. So also having this platform where we've got a whole group of people in there that are running businesses, usually from home. And so we all need other people's services in the group. So, if I was looking for something, the first place I would go would be the group to see if there's someone in there that I trust, that I've got to know online, that I would then use their services for as well. So it is truly that idea of a community, helping each other. The reason I was thinking about that yesterday is because the podcast as well that is about to come out for Creative Soul Mamas is also about celebrating and supporting creative women in business. So the women that come on, like yourself, you're a podcast guest that's coming up. Being on there is allowing you to further your reach and your visibility, but it's also allowing people that listen to the podcast as a community of creative mums in business to get advice and knowledge and support about building their own business. So it's again another layer of that, providing support and celebrating creative women in business.
Brilliant. And that was a great intake to the podcast, because that was my next question, was to ask you to tell us about the podcast and when it's being launched and how people can actually get on and listen to it. So where will they find the podcast and when will it be live?
Yeah, so they can find it in a few different places. It's going live next Monday, the 4th of June, all things going well with Apple iTunes. Launching next week. And you can, probably the easiest place is just to go to the creativesoulmamas.com website, and all the podcasts will be loaded in there, but they will also be on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, so the usual places you can go to find podcasts as well. And if you're wanting to subscribe, then you can do that through iTunes, and then it downloads each time a new episode is released. So I'll be releasing one every Monday from the 4th of June.
And is it called Sonja Creative Soul Mamas? Is that how they find it within
just Creative
iTunes?
Soul. Yep, Creative Soul Mamas is exactly what it'll be called. Yep. So it should be very easy to find once it's up there and live. And again, the website as well. Either place will be easy enough for people to find it. But it's interviews. So there's basically a new creative mum in business or creative woman in business. Not everyone on there is a mum. Sharing advice, information, wisdom about how to grow your business and build a business based around your creative and unique talents. So we've got all sorts of different topics coming up. So obviously you're talking about social media with us. And then we've got intuitive healers. We've got Van, who I mentioned at the beginning. She's on there from Work Smart in the US. She provides creative play to the corporate world. We've got someone who runs a very creative business based around their artwork. So there's, lots of different topics each week. But I think each woman brings not only specifics about their type of business and how they've built it, but also just tips in general about building a business that's based around your creative and unique talents.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting episode or episodes to tune into, just to get that little bit of information, advice, tools and tips. So again, well done. You're a busy mum and you've done so much for, women in business, I believe. Just the fact that creating a group alone takes a lot of work, to actually consistently turning up. And, we are all busy and we have other things, and then we have our own stuff going on. So, kudos to you for doing a great job for women in business.
Thank you.
And Sonja, before we wrap the show up today, is there anything else that you would like to share about your business or about the Facebook group that I haven't actually asked you today?
No, I don't think so. I think that covers it all. I mean, we've certainly talked about all the different aspects of my business and what I do. I do have a online summit coming up in June. So once the podcast is launched, then within the Facebook group, we've got 7 days of creative mindfulness. So that's all about how to use creativity and mindfulness, whether it's for business to get your mind sort of working and open up new ideas. Some people don't want new ideas, they've got too many. So the other side of that is mindfulness and creativity, and using it for self-care and finding some time out for yourself, because that's obviously important as a business owner as well. So that's 7 days of creative mindfulness, and that will have lots of guest presenters and just really great, again, creative women in business coming on, and each day we'll have a different topic that you can tune into, whether that's live or you can watch the replays afterwards. You can come to one session that you might particularly like a presenter and a topic on, day 3, or you might want to come every day. So it's free, and you can sign up on the creativesoulmamas.com website to that as well.
Fantastic. And I've just put up the Facebook page, the group, sorry,
Yes.
there for Creative Soul Mamas. So that's where you'll be holding your online summit. So pop over there as well and join that amazing community that Sonja has created, not creative. So check that out as well, guys. So yeah, Sonja, just thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today on the Local Business Show. And also for the opportunity that you're giving women who are in that creativity space. And we spoke about that on, I think it was my interview, we spoke about, mums at home, and you mentioned it too, that sometimes you just don't want to go back to work and you want to stay home and be with your babies, and you're not sure what that looks like. So having, the amazing skills and coaching that you offer really helps women identify their skills, their passion, their values, and stay home and raise amazing children.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, going back to work's not for everyone. So, if it's something that you do decide you want to do, then there's definitely options out there. The world's your oyster now with this online world. So it's just about finding what it is you really want to do. And thank you as well, Leanne, for having me on. It's been really good talking to you.
Oh, my pleasure. It's great to have, let people know that there are amazing communities like yours out there so that women can really stay connected, which I believe is really important as well. Oh, I've lost you. Sorry, I lost you for 5 seconds there. Sonja, you disappeared. Sorry. So, yeah, thanks again, Sonja. And I'm just going to wrap the show up. If there's any questions that you have, for Sonja about the online summit, if they're, about her community, about her coaching services that she offers, please go check out the Facebook group, the websites, and also leave a comment below here, because Sonja will be able to see those questions on her Facebook group and on the business page, Local Business Show. So feel free to reach out, even if you just want to hook up with the group and just see what other women are doing and maybe get some inspiration and ideas from that. So please reach out to Sonja and her amazing community and her skill sets and her services there.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to put Sonja down. We're going to finish the show. Thanks again, Sonja, for joining me. Thank you so much for your insight, your tools, and your advice. And definitely, people will be wanting to know more about the community. So thanks again.
Thank you.
So, wow, how awesome is that? It's absolutely amazing for me to see how we can how connected we are in the world of online. Going back 10, 12 years or even 20 years when I was in my first business, we didn't have the ability to support and connect each other. And sometimes you did feel like you're actually alone and there was no one out there. And amazing women like Sonja developing these great communities where we can all connect just by our mobile phone or by our computer and actually have that interaction is amazing. And I honestly believe and agree with what Sonja said. The world is our oyster. 20 years ago, doing business is completely different to what it is today. And if you have a mobile device, you are able to really make amazing opportunities for your life, your family, and create awesome businesses. So go and check Sonja out. The group is still up on the page here to my other right, that right over there. So go check that out, the online summit, the podcast, and her website. So please feel free to leave any questions below here also. Now, before we finish the show, I just want to again acknowledge our corporate sponsors. They spend a lot of time and effort in supporting me, in helping local businesses come to light, I suppose, and to see who and what's out there and how they can help each other and how we can help each other. So again, thank you very much to Zeneca Carpet Services, to Cairns Cheapest Cars, and Savvy Hair by Design on Mulgrave Road. Thanks again. And thanks again to our amazing guest today, Sonja. If you don't need Sonja's services, but you're really passionate about supporting local businesses, then that's okay. All you need to do is just share this video with your community. And, you know, there's this saying of 6 degrees of separation. Well, in Cairns, in far north Queensland, it seems to be 2 degrees of separation. So there'll be somebody out there that could really, you know, benefit by connecting with Sonja and her community. So think about sharing the video, support local businesses, and that's all we need to do. So thanks again, guys, for joining me today. I don't have a guest this Friday because we have a workshop to attend, but I do have another guest for you next Monday. So don't forget to click on the notifications in the video to get notified when we're live. And if you're watching the replay, again, feel free to put your comments below and we'll come back and check them. Thanks again, everybody, for joining me. My name's Leanne Peard, your host at the Local Business Show. Ciao for now.